Yeah.
But that 3.5, I'm talking, it's been more than 3, obviously 5 or 6 years reading, but 3.5, I'm talking where all I did from the morning till night was read. That primed me for what I'm doing now, but that would have never manifested anything.
Yeah.
It just primed me for it.
Yeah, but there had to be a step. There had to be a step in there. So you're talking about reading books and how that primed you in some way, but there had to be a step that switched you from increasing awareness, which is what the books did, into action.
So there's always been action going on, I should say, as though it was just an insane amount of head in the clouds and action, adversity, businesses started and stopped and worked and not worked, but nowhere near as much as organization and structure as maybe I could even put into it myself, is where you have that team. Right? It's where you must, as a leader, you must attract people who believe what you believe.
Yeah.
And you must set up the systems both on a cultural and a financial standpoint so that they're happy.
Yeah.
So they drive with you.
Yeah.
And it's it's who I am, right? Is the person with the head in the clouds and the person that's super curious and wants to learn 24/7 and wants to feel love and acceptance from sharing to others, and it's a great formula for all those things, but you have to take the action.
Right.
And it, what's helped me attract and I guess keep people that compliment me is not being selfish.
Yeah.
When I was.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can relate to that, but.
Yeah, no, I mean, just to take a step back here, I want to ask you questions on this. So what is the life of a person with their head in the clouds, constantly learning but not opening themselves up to building a team? What happens to them? Like, what would happen to you if you didn't take action and somehow start to?
I think a lot of those types of people, I guess the question, what capacity of action, for example, I think a lot of the people who do have a head in the clouds and are open to learning, are obsessive and compulsive with that, they become prolific writers.
Right.
They become prolific professors we may have never heard of.
Right.
They become, they become the people that aren't respected by the people that should probably take their voice and run with it.
Right.
Like the motivational or the guru industry or the business industry is riddled with people that we think we should respect. For example, the guy that built a $70 billion company, culturally we're aligned with the fact that we should probably listen to him. But a lot of those guys probably shouldn't be opening their mouths at all. Because lots of them got their results from the statistical probability of grit times time.
Right. Compound effect.
The compound effect of having certain unconscious behavioral patterns of success, or activity that garners results. For example, a lot of these people that have these giant companies that have been successful in our eyes, they just did one thing, like communicate effectively or influence, and they did that for a long enough period of time without giving up that they got that reward.
Right.
However, whether they were capable of doing this or they just decided not to, they don't really understand or could even fathom how to reverse engineer what they did into something tangible for someone that hasn't done that or isn't them to execute on it. So they shouldn't be coaches, is my point. Not everyone that did a $100 billion company should be a coach.
Right.
They should go to a beach and hide somewhere.
Not all the best athletes are the best trainers or the coaches, right?
Exactly.
Also, the other thing you're touching on is, you're speaking about this, so we're talking about financial success, right? But the success equal fulfillment, and that's a whole other thing. Like, who cares that I'm floating in, was it Uncle Scrooge from the DuckTales? Ever seen DuckTales?
Yeah.
And he's swimming in his pile of gold and he's diving in. But me diving into a big pile of gold, does that mean I'm happy? Like, do I care that, I have, again, 0 to 100 or 175 years as Jay said he was going to live, and you're diving in, but like, if you have that much time, like, who cares that you have that much money? You're gonna pass at some point. So what really matters? And I think, looking at these gurus who made a lot of success, that doesn't mean they're happy or fulfilled. So I think, finding these examples that...
Well, so all of those are just correlatives, right? We know a correlation is not a causation.
Right.
If it just this is this and this is also this doesn't mean that this is this way because of this.
Right.
So taking a couple steps back, a lot of people that may be super inquisitive and super curious and super learning to grow, if they're just alone by themselves in a boat, it's not enough to get the sail, like to get the wind in the sail, to get that boat where it needs to go.
Right.
Because we're not an organism like a spider that eats our babies. We need other people.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the individuals with their heads in the clouds that may have these prolific thoughts, their thoughts die with them. They don't get executed upon. And then a lot of people that don't have prolific thoughts end up executing things, and society deems them as the messiahs, and we take our advice from people that don't need to be giving it.
Yeah.
And now this opposite side of the coin, there's plenty of people giving advice that shouldn't be giving advice that haven't done anything.
Right.
So we can't pigeonhole anyone in any kind of box, but the fact of the matter is, just because you've arrived somewhere doesn't mean you're in a position to help others arrive there. And side note, if you are the type to have your head in the clouds, or you're the visionary,
right,
but you're not taking the action or have the ability to influence others to help you take that action, your head's going to stay in the clouds, because every technological advancement that we have today, well, we could have had 100 years ago if 100 years before that we decided to have it.
Yeah. I mean, I love what you just said, and I think the takeaway that I could have from this discussion is, I'm going to call it the visionary's responsibility.
I like that a lot. Yeah, that's good.
And the visionary's responsibility is, like, I'm not kidding, like, if your head's in the clouds, you're a big dreamer, okay? That's fantastic. But then that next step of courage, you know, feeling that you're finally going to take action on it, that's what you need to work on if your head's in the clouds but you haven't done something yet. And, you know, taking that action, the visionary's responsibility, taking that action, the reason I say responsibility is because you're doing humanity a disservice by not taking that step forward to do something that, you know, you think could really help a lot of people.
And if fear is holding you back from taking the action, that's your own self holding back the world, basically.
Yeah.
Mic drop. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. Like.